Hi, everyone, and welcome to the In the Shoes of podcast, where I make it my goal to see life as much as possible from someone else's point of view. Just like we all have a unique heartbeat, every single one of us sees life only from our own perspectives. Think about it. Can you see and process life exactly as Elon Musk sees and processes life? The answer is you can't, and it applies to every living conscious being here on this pale blue dot. Everyone, I'm speaking today with Nadine Blochberger, and we're going to be stepping into your shoes. And the intent of this podcast is really to get to know, just see life as much as we possibly can from your perspective. So I think a good way to start that off is to ask you what your fundamental passion is in life.
Oh, yeah, loaded question to start with.
Let's start it off. Yeah, I like to just get straight to
it. My fundamental passion is the arts. I have kind of one of my favorite high-level sentences, probably life is an art and the art of life itself. And I would say that's my fundamental passion. And what that means specifically is I feel like everyone is creative, and creativity and the arts has not only to do with painting or creating music or creating fashion. I think everyone is creative in its own unique way. That could be, for example, for me, art means, or creativity means as well, how we lead a company or how we lead our employees, or if someone takes a spreadsheet and can do amazingly things with that, that's kind of art, So right. I think we need to find our specific, unique way where we can be creative. And I get passionately about to reawaken this creativity within each of us.
Right, as opposed to being just kind of automatons, just going through our daily mundane lives with just like pressing the right buttons, but not thinking creatively. Or some people do have that mindset where they think, "Oh, I'm not creative. I'm not like that, and I'm not insane enough to be creative like that." So like we have. Yeah. People feel like they have to chop off an ear or something just to create a painting or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's it's just far too narrow-minded and puts so much pressure on ourselves. And people don't realize how creative they can be while cooking, for example. Cooking is a good example. That's a very creative area we can be in. Or let's say people who love gardening, which is an art. You know what I mean? And it's everywhere. It's just a few examples, and we need to appreciate that and really realize how we can express ourselves through this creativity in whatever manner that is.
How do you do that? How do you awaken that or get people to understand that creativity that's already within?
It's a very good question. So I developed, or I'm in the process of developing a workshop which calls Awake Your Inner Artist. And what I'm trying to achieve with that is to give people like a guidance in how to do that. And so some insights what I can give you right now is, I'm kind of using a very holistic approach. So I think first step is to listen to people, what they have to say, and then understand, okay, where are your trigger points, or where are the areas in your life where actually are your creativity, because most people don't know where this creativity is in them. So really to find that out, I think we need to find, there is not one word answer. That's what I want to say, but there is a kind of a way how you can find while talking to people, to listen to them and get to know them. That's really how in the communication with each other, I found a way how to get that out of people and and really remind them of their own creativity. I can give you an example. Maybe that
Sure.
helps. The other day, I've been must be 2 weeks now, nearly 2 weeks. And I've been in an art gallery here in Munich. Beautiful new exhibition. It was a vernissage, and two guys opened the exhibitions, and really I've been super amazed. And there was one guy. I talked to several people, and with one of these men and over there, and he was one of the friends of one of the artists. And we were talking. He asked me, so what I'm doing. I said, yeah, I'm an artist myself, and but I'm very diverse in my approaches and so on. And I developed this workshop, Make You an Artist. And then he said, oh yeah, creativity. Yeah, he's not creative. This was exactly the example you just mentioned. He's not creative. And said, why are you saying that? And he said, yeah, because I'm just a gardener. I said, hey, why are you saying you're just a gardener? I mean, if I look at gardening, I don't have a green thumb, really, but I love to. I love herbs. I love flowers. I love it so much. And I really want to get into it as well to get my balcony in better shape. And so, my plants at home, because I love it. And then I kind of reminded him while we were just talking about what greatness he's doing and how the beauty, what kind of beauty he brings to the world and for other people, how he makes them happy. Because people like to watch trees or flowers or whatever it will be. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And then he was actually smiling, and I could see the sparkles in his eyes. And then he was really this sweet, cheeky, soft smile he had in his face. And then he said, yes, you're right. And then he said, thank you for reminding me. And that was just this beauty I could see in him. And and then my heart just flowered because of that.
Which is great. And that's probably one reason why you do it. It's like, you need to understand people that you're also creative, and you have that beauty within as well. And you don't have to be necessarily completely insane or just have obviously there are a lot of artists who, for whatever reason, because of whatever it is that's going on in their brains, when things aren't necessarily going so well, or you are having kind of a moment of distress in the brain, for some reason that can be a good creative outlet, but I don't think it's necessary. I've also produced some great work being just in a great, peaceful, perfect state of mind as well. So I think it can go both ways. What do you think?
I totally agree. It can go both ways, and I think we need to honor especially the moments where we so desperately want to create. And I know what I'm talking about because I am the same thing, but not everyone is using creativity in the same way. And we need to honor, again, the unique way how we are, how we can be, and how we express ourselves. So what I mean by that as well is honoring especially the downtime, I would call it, when we're not creative, because that's actually the time where creativity is really born. I mean, doing it, you doing creatively your podcast or getting the new ideas, and you're listening to the people and so on. And myself, for example, I'm doing a painting. And and we need to honor, I think the creative part is really that part when we're not actually doing it, but being ourselves and relaxing or surrender into it. And then the actual part of doing it is just the physical expression of it, but actually the process already started before that. Does it make sense? And that's why
that makes perfect sense.
That's actually why people get mixed it up or so heavily in their mind, because they think it's just the doing part, which is the creative part, but it's actually not true. The doing part, everyone could do nearly. You know what I mean?
Have you read The Power of Now, that book?
Yes, I started. I haven't finished it yet.
Okay. It's excellent. Well, he talks about that a little bit. He's talking about whether or not musicians or artists realize it when they do create something amazing, when something happens. It's actually not when they're in a state of just kind of frenetic thinking and trying to do all these things, but it's just a state of kind of no mind. That's in his words. So it seems like that's kind of what you're talking about too, when it's not like when you're actually trying to do all these things and being in that state of frenzy, but when you're when you're actually just out, just living, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Being. It's just a way of being.
Being.
And being. It's. I think we are in an era right now where being slowly awakens in the people's mind, and we go slowly moving in this feminine area, which is being and being creative. So that's our inner feminine, which wants to come out, even in a man. Yeah. So we have this masculine and feminine side in each of us. And because for thousands and thousands of years, we've just been in this patriarchal, I have probably pronounced this word, patriarchal area.
Patriarchal, yeah, for sure.
Yep. and which is based on logical thinking and doing and going forward and results and and we're moving away from that, and which is good. We're going back to not the doing mindset, but we're going slowly, moving slowly in the being part of life, and there is creativity one. And to be honest, I feel, everything ever meaningful is being born out of creativity. Everything what really stays in this world is born out of creativity. So it's actually a rudimental soft skill, I would say, or name it like that. But most often it lies so much dormant within us. And again, it just has to be reawakened. And it will sustain our future. That's what I strongly believe. Creativity is sustaining our future. It brings innovation.
I guess, and on the flip side of that, I feel like when I look at Western culture, especially, of course, being in the States, I mean, of course, I'm not going to generalize. There's a lot of creativity going on here, a lot of innovation, things like that. But I feel like there also is, on the other hand, sort of collective insanity when it comes to completely eschewing, like, forget about creativity. We just need productivity.
Yeah.
And we need to produce because money, more money, and I feel like that's almost like a sickness. So how do you address something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the old paradigm we lived in, and we lived it for thousands of years. You know what I mean? Producing money, it's a status, it's a symbol. Let's be honest. Most of us get born into an environment or in a society where we trust someone when we are famous, when we have a name, when we have this car and this million on our bank account, and otherwise we are not, no one, right? So actually we kind of born in this horribly, excuse my language, but horribly society thinking. And we have to get off that. And I'm glad, because there are more and more movements coming towards us, which are realizing that's totally nuts. Let's bring it to the point. It's nuts. It's not living. It's just having, it's having a mask on, or two or three sometimes. And we're trying to be someone which we actually not. And we have to take off this mask and go back to our authenticity. And authenticity is in a lot of people's mouths and minds right now, but we need to even explain what that means, even being authentic. I mean, you're not being authentic because you think you're authentic. You are authentic when someone else says you are authentic. You know what I mean? It's
oh yeah, like you need that validation from somebody else. On the one hand, we also have we are excellent specimens at deluding ourselves. But on the other hand, we do need to know ourselves and to know our true, authentic self. So I guess I have a twofold question for you. How does one truly know their authentic self? And then if you could elaborate on how you would describe your authentic self.
I mean, that's a lifelong process, I can tell you, because we are conditioned since, again, thousands and millions of years. And to get rid of that, that's incarnated through several lifetimes sometimes, you know what I mean? And to get rid of that, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, that's a lifelong commitment. It's a lifestyle to to really wanting to be authentic and being authentic, it's a non-stop learning process, and it's an integration of new ways of thinking, new ways of being compared to what society thinks we should have or should do. And again, I think we go there when we really think, okay, I make the commitment to being who I want, and it doesn't matter what others are thinking, because we are conditioned. We are just someone. When we have millions of likes, thousands of likes, when we have a lot of followers and so on, we can go down to that conversation for hours as well. I keep it short. I try to keep it short. But it is that. And we need to go away from this outside, you just mentioned it, outside validation. The own validation we need is really the one from within. And how we get there is through several steps. Again, it's a process, and it's not answered in this 1 hour conversation we're having right now, I feel. But to pull it, to bring it down, maybe what I'm trying to say here is we really need to find once the commitment to do that and say, yes, I'm going down that path. I'm going to find my own golden path. That's how I call it, because again, we are all the same. We are all the same beings. So we're all connected. If it's a human, if it's a plant, if it's the animal, and so on and so on. So all living beings are highly interconnected. But within this connection, we are not just different. We are highly unique. And only through finding through our own uniqueness, we will really truly understand and live that interconnection with all beings. That's what I think. And we need to find this uniqueness. Again, I come back to my answer, to have the commitment to find our own golden path, whatever that means for us, and have the patience for it. Yeah. It does mean pulling back the wheel and lots of layers of conditioning, and be ready for transformation and changing our mindsets and opening our hearts again. And it's a long process, and it's a painful process. So someone has to be ready. It's not only nice. No, there are nice parts in between, but it's not only nice. It can be painful, and it hurts. But after that, coming out of that, this dark pieces, and seeing the light, who we really are, and can really live who we are and really be who we are unapologetically. That is the most fulfilling and beautiful feeling and moment. It's like a magic moment in life, really, to really be at a stage. It's a bliss feeling, And whoever is ready for that, I think it's the most amazing thing we can do, to find that own path to be authentic.
Of course. And to do so unapologetically, that's such a key thing right there. Because I feel like it's so interesting to me too. And I've been guilty of it too, to where if you go outside of the norm a little bit and you're like, no, I'm actually going to do this. And you almost feel embarrassed to say, like, no, this is the route I want to go. This is what I want to do in life, or whatever it is. Like, to be embarrassed, if it's not hurting anybody else, then we should feel no shame whatsoever. We should be completely unapologetic and even exuberant about it. Even if I decided to go and say, hey, tell my friends and family, guys, I'm going to give up my place. I'm going to go live under a bridge just because I want to understand what it means to how it feels to be homeless. I want to do that, and you know what? I'm not hurting anybody. And let's say I'll make money, I don't know, playing my guitar or something like that, whatever. That's fine. Yes. If I want to do that and there's no laws against it, who cares, right? So, but it's very outside of the norm. Yeah. And I would definitely get people like, nope, Jeremy's finally lost his mind.
Yeah, but if that's what makes you happy, and it's out of the norm, but if it's that what makes you happy, please, I would everybody encourage to do that. And even if that homeless feeling is for a month or two, but you wanted to make this the experience. And most people of us are here to experience experiences. Yeah, that's for most of people the purpose of life, and that would be one for you, and yes, I would always say, hey, Jeremy, I'm really proud of you. Go for and do it. And it's so inspiring. It's so inspiring for others. Even, I mean, I told you that via email, but I really feel your project, what you're doing, put yourself in the shoes of someone else is an amazing thing you're doing. And you kind of, for me, you're leading a movement which should inspire a lot of people to think like that. Put yourself in the other shoes, other person's shoes. Yeah,
that is truly the hope. It's nearly, I mean, without actually coalescing our psyches, it's really not completely possible to see. Like, I would love just for a moment even to be like, okay, I'm going to get into Nadine's psyche right now, even if it's just for 5 seconds. Can you imagine how incredible that would be? And I think for some people it'd be like, all right, come into Jeremy's psyche, and they're like, no, I'm good.
No, thank you. I'm not interested.
But, right. But I mean, I think it would just be so helpful too to talk about like engendering more empathy. How, if you had to describe then what your authentic self, and I know art is a part of it, but is there something deeper even that you could say about what your authentic self, or if you're still on that road to discovery and you only have like bits and pieces of it, almost like fragments of a mirror that you're trying to piece together?
Yeah, it's a mixture of both, I have to say. Again, being authentic, it is a process, and I'm still in it. I admit that. Definitely, I would lie if I would say, oh no, I have to found that, and I'm the master now and the guru, and I know everything. Oh my God, no! I think we have layers of conditioning and even I would even call inauthenticity. As long as we are living beings on Earth. We can really soften these layers. We can the layers get thinner and thinner. So we get really there are just a few left. But there will be always something we I don't want to call it work on, but yeah, which is kind of a condition within us, because we're living in a kind of in duality in a world where there has to exist light and dark. You know what I mean? And therefore, as long as we're here on Earth living, we have to, I think we will be still in process of being authentic. Will there be a time where we can be our most authentic self? Yes, of course. And I would say I've got moments and even minutes or hours or days where I think I'm very authentic. But of course, there are happening situations where I think, oh my God, I react like I have maybe been before, or for several months ago or several years ago, because I've been I switched back to an old way of thinking or behaving. You know what I mean? And yes, these moments are happening because maybe I meet you on the street and you're kind of triggering something in me, and I couldn't handle it the right way in this moment. So I switched back into my old behaviors. And yes, that these moments are going to happen, but there will be less and less and less, and we're getting faster. So we actually realize that we get more authentic when we realize, oh, hang on, yes, now I slipped back to my old behavior, and I catched myself, kind of thing. And then we realize it, and then we think, okay, the next time when I have that again, it might not happen again, and we need to love ourselves in the process. When we are not authentic, or we're not our true selves, or we're not, when we are not the one where we want to be, you know what I mean? So we have to love ourselves through the process. That it's like the wave, it's like the ocean. It comes in and comes out, you know. It's like ebb and flood. So it's never a consistent way of being, because there's so many people who can trigger us or situations, so that it's coming in waves. I'm 100% sure.
Absolutely. And I liken it to kind of the Hollywood mentality of it's either black or white, or you're either 100% confident or 100% this geek or 100%. No, that's not how life is. One of my favorite authors is Hermann Hesse, actually, the German author, read in Steppenwolf. I love the part where it talks about no, man is a multifaceted being, and talking about going to what you were talking about with triggering behaviors. I think that's such a key thing when we go through something and we behave in a way that's maybe not necessarily our completely ideal, authentic self. It's not doesn't measure up, so to speak, but to not get down on ourselves and to judge ourselves, especially when it's something ridiculously just innocuous, maybe not quite authentic, but still not a huge thing, to love ourselves. Because let's be honest, I mean, if we don't love ourselves, that's likely where a lot of hatred and a lot of the just malevolence comes into play out there in the world. What do you see as being one of the main things that needs to change? Like I talked about collective insanity sometimes here with the way we work in the States. Is there something that you see, and it can be anything, whether it's political or just lack of understanding something?
I mean, there's surely, as you just mentioned, there are several things. But if I would name one thing right now, I would say communication. And that's one of my main focus when I'm working as a mentor or coach. I'm focusing on, I mean, a lot of areas, but focusing mainly on up-leveling communication in this world. I have this little goal to improve communication in the whole world. Yeah. And small, just a small one, you know, can do that by tomorrow. No, but I honestly think because the communication, it's such fundamental. Again, it's the basis for nearly everything, it's the interpersonal communication, which can happen privately in relationships. It's the communication in companies, so in cultural behaviors and so on. But from communication, everything. If you would write communication on the top of a sheet of paper, and then you can draw lines to several other areas, which impacting, you know, and that's why I think communication is a fundamentally thing which we have to hopefully every people to understand that we have to improve, because everything else will fall into place. Everything else will fall into place. Again, if you go to romantic relationships or friendships, will be kind of solved or less be triggering. We will have less problems in the connections within our jobs. We will have less problems in environmental issues. We will have less problems in politics and so on. That's the reason why I wouldn't pick the other areas. For example, I'm an absolutely passionate for environmental causes, for example. But again, if you would solve communication, first the communication to ourselves and to others, and in every area of our life, I'm pretty sure a lot of other issues will be solved and be impacted positively.
When you say communication, what goes into that? What needs to happen to make it, I guess, effective communication to bring about the needed changes and beneficial changes in society?
The art of effective communication for me starts, again, is an art, as you can hear, and communication is an art too, and it truly is, because it's always a two-way street. So communication is not, it starts with a sender, someone who says something, and then there's another person which is a receiver. But the problem in our current society, in how we are, as you mentioned, we talk to each other, but we're not communicating most often, because we're not listening. It starts with listening. I mean, often we have conversations and then we think, oh, what's my answer? You know, instead of listening truly to the other person, we think, oh, what's my answer? And so we are actually not taking in consideration the thoughts and the mind of the person who's saying the things. And especially we don't take in consideration the feelings right now in that moment. We're already in the future instead of being in the present moment and just let the person speak. And then we start assuming, because we're thinking of our answer already, we're assuming what the other person already wants to say or thinks he wants to say, but actually he doesn't because we didn't listen. You know what I mean? It's just, we're just not putting enough attention to the person who's in front of us. And that starts with being there in the present moment and not thinking of the 1,000 things I have to do the rest of the day, for example, or thinking, oh, he might wants to say this, but actually we didn't even ask for clarification. You know, for example, if you ask me a question right now and I wouldn't really understand the meaning behind and I would just talk, then we might completely get out of topic and we wouldn't really think in our energy and aligning and fulfill the purpose of the call. But if I would say, hey, Jeremy, I didn't really understand the question. Would you explain that to me? That would change the whole topic. You know what I mean? Because I'm not assuming what you're trying to ask me or trying to tell me. I would ask for clarification. And if just a small little thing, if that would happen more often and we listen better, that's already the kickoff, the start of the magic which can happen between people.
Totally. And it takes concerted effort, I think, you know, because even while you were talking right now, just to convey kind of thought process, because we all have thought processes that are going on all the time. When you were talking about it, I was like, wow, she's so right. And of course, as being a podcaster, I have to follow your line of thinking, your line of thought, what you're saying, and be with you. Otherwise, it's not going to sound right whatsoever. So I even just was thinking about it, like you need to make a concerted effort, and you're right. Not thinking about 1,000 things you have to do later on, or something that happened last night, or whatever it is. So it kind of made me wonder, since it takes that effort, what are some, in your opinion, what are some tools that people can use to get to that point that they can hone that craft, that they can work on that art of communication with improving? I guess it really comes down to, how do people improve their listening skills and shut off their brains a little bit?
It's such a good question, Jeremy, I have to say, because how do we do it? What is a practical way to do that? We never learned it. Let's face it. We never learned that. And that's such an essential thing. It's the essence. Communication is in essence. And we never learn it in school. Our parents really know how to do it. Even they tried out their best, but barely anyone knows how to do it. And to answer the question is, I would, first of all, it starts all with us. And again, it's a process within. It's not to find the answer is not to find in the perfect master, teacher, priest, however you want to call it, coach or whatever. These are just, how do you call that? These are just kind of guidance or where you can pick ideas and brains, but it starts all within us. Are we willing to put in effort and attention to another person? Are we open to that? Or are we obsessed in our ego mindset? Me, you know? Because that's what society is thinking these days. Again, we're not just living in a fame world. We're living in such an ego world, which is based on, or we're taught to be validated from external sources instead of being validated by ourselves. So it starts again within our own way of thinking, with us. It starts with us. Do we want to be open and get to know other people? Do we want to build really true, deep connections? Do I want this or not? And if yes, if the answer is yes, what can I do actively to be able to do that? And what can I contribute that I really build these meaningful, deep connections? And yes, there are tools which we can use, and there are coaches, mentors, which can help to say, okay, how we actually do communicate. But it's not enough. So I think it's a lot of work to do there, because yes, there are not enough tools or really knowledgeable people who are actively can provide the tools how we do that. And that's really, I think it's a lack in this society, in this world. We have a lack of it.
Yeah, that's something that we get that we I don't know, if we ever talk again, we can expand on that subject and think about what needs to be done. I don't know if it comes down to, even in the education system, implementing some additional classroom strategies for just
Of
maybe
course.
it's already happening somewhere, but I feel like, yeah, that
Yeah, of
obviously
course.
in this day and age when things are really going on, a lot of things are going on, and some that are just really not beneficial to society, learning to listen is a key aspect.
Mhm.
So that's, yeah. Well, let me go into a little bit of what gives you the most sense of, let's put together peace and purpose and joy. What gives you that right there?
Hmm. It's a mixture of a lot of things. I'm very diverse, and my interests are spread out widely. But what gives me really joy is being myself. So the more and more I see my own personal growth and work on myself and really see patterns, not only in society but in myself. So as the more I understand myself, why I run into resistance with people or with situations again and again, and I really try to understand why that's happening. Yeah, and the more I surrender to life itself and really be, the more happy and blissful I experience life. It's really the state of surrendering. It's kind of being in the contemplation between doing and forcing and allowing. It's, I think, and that's what I call it, surrendering. It's just let life happen. So, we are all so much in our minds, in the mental plane, that we need to find this purpose and that we need to do something meaningful and that we need to do this, that. Again, it's all mental plane. Again, it's we are forcing something to happen instead of sitting back and watching our forms, which with forms I mean our bodies, experience this life itself. So our mind is actually not there for making decisions, and we are so conditioned to say to think our mind is the best decision-making tool. But what I learned for myself, that's absolutely not right. The mind is an incredible tool, but it's not made for decisions. The purpose of the mind is something different. So what I mean with that is, the more I learn to lean back and surrender to life and not getting it done and forcing and doing, but really going in this receptive state more and more. Yeah.
Are you saying that it's, because I know a lot of listeners will probably think, well, does that mean you just sit back and you don't do anything? You just let things happen? I guess I want to make sure that that's addressed too, and how you're gonna elaborate on what that means.
Yeah, sure. It's a good point. What means surrendering is, again, surrendering means let life happen. So instead of not only forcing and trying to manifest a lot of things, that means, for example, I want to have this car, I want to have this status of life, I want to have this, and this. We're all just very desire driven, yeah? And then we're trying to force and achieve things so much. So we're constantly doing again. But going away from the way of thinking and just surrendering the mind, that actually life is it's very magnificent in the way it is. It is designed to be like it is. We need to go away from the thinking of forcing all the things, because we just need to react more sometimes. Just not doing it by ourselves. But if something happens in our life, just be and react to it. Don't force to have it done. For example, our society believes we need to work a lot and we need to work hard. That was the lifelong thinking. I need to work hard and really push and make things happen. So we are having the lifestyle of our life. But I think for most of the people, it might be right for a few people who have manifesting abilities to push and do and go forward. But for most of us, we don't have really these manifesting abilities. So it's rather everything what means doing and pushing so much to achieve a certain desire or a certain lifestyle is actually counterproductive. That means people should just live more and be more, and not working their asses off just only, but seeing life, the beauty of life, and experience it really. So again, we are coming back to the same point. We're coming back to a state of being instead of doing. So when I'm just being and trying to be, so accept life in the way, not like society and the world wants us to be, but how I want to live it. So for example, I might be, society thinks I need to work in a job which I earn 200,000 a year. But actually, that's something, while I'm doing it, it doesn't make me happy. So I would rather go back and say I'm a gardener and earn maybe half of it a year. But gardening makes me totally happy. And I don't mind what society thinks of me. I don't have to be a doctor, or I don't have to be a lawyer. You know what I mean? So surrendering to what we want to be and how we feel. And then we see the world around us far more and let it happen. And then we can, whatever happens to us, for example, if we lose our job, not getting obnoxious about it or a lot of anxiety within us, but just say, okay, hang on a second. Yes, I got fired or I lost my job. And yes, let me react on it, but calmly react on it, surrender to it. Okay, that must be a reason why I lost this job. So there might be a reason why. So let me get into it. Let's see what it wants to tell me. I surrender to the situation. I lost my job. So what I'm going to do about it, And instead of getting this anxiety, oh my God, what I'm doing now, and now I need to find a job, and I need to run, and I've got to go out, I need to push, I need to do, you know what I mean? So we get totally mental again, and we need to go away from that.
Yes.
And step back and watch it. Yeah.
It seems to be like what you're saying is just accepting life as it happens.
Yes.
And some things are beyond our control anyway, right? And to whatever station we're at in life, for one thing, and to go a little bit further too, is to be grateful for what we do have in life. That's a key aspect of it too. But no, I agree with that. I definitely agree. I think there's so much, and I think I've been guilty of this too in the past, of just trying to push way too hard, and really I've seen that in action where it can be counterproductive. So I'm hearing what you're saying. I like that. That's good. But on the flip, adding to this too, how do I get a gardening job that pays $100K a year? Because I'm going to do that. Please let me know. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be. I think it's not that off topic. I feel like all the creative jobs will become more. All the creative jobs will become more of value. That means they will be highly paid as more. So creativity, I feel it's a future soft skill, and we have to value it more. It's completely undervalued right now. But I think we're moving towards that. Yeah. If it goes all well, if we're going in the right direction, then it's going to happen. I'm not signing off. You're going to earn 100K as a gardener, but maybe, hopefully,
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I'm not a gardener, so I'm sure I definitely would not earn that. But so when you are at the end of your days, Nadine, at least in this physical plane of existence, how do you want to be remembered as a person of what you contributed to the planet?
It doesn't matter.
Or does it even matter to you?
I'm glad you just added on, because I feel really it's a huge differentiation between me and a lot of other people. I'm over that. So people are really going for, how is my name be remembered? How can I be the next Buddha? How can I be the most famous person on earth? And honestly, why? I'm asking myself, why does it matter? I think that's a problem, because people move. I'm just jumping a little bit off topic and then coming back, okay? If you don't mind. And because people,
Go ahead.
we are moving more into self-love, yeah? But what I really see, Jeremy, and it makes me a little bit, a tiny bit of worried right now, is that people take self-love too literally. That means they flip it too much over, that it becomes self-obsession. I would rather say it becomes me. It's again only me focused instead of we focused. Yeah, I think we need less me and more we. Our personal gains, our personal desires do not really matter. Because we want part of everything. Yeah. And yeah, it cannot be everyone the next Buddha, for example, or the next Bill Gates. Yes, that's sure. Yeah. But why would we as well? I mean, I think being famous or bringing meaning to the world doesn't mean to be famous. You know, we can do so much meaning and we're not standing in any history books. That means I feel the teacher in the middle school, for example, people like that can do so much great things. How they educate our kids in a manner which make them better people, or offering more compassion and kindness. So when they teach them values, really concrete, meaningful values, they've done the better job than anyone who is having the best fashion designer in the world or whatever, you know? Or the best politician or whatever.
Absolutely.
I think that's really true leadership, when we really honor and see people who are not in history books, and see how can we leave a legacy in this world without being in the newspaper. It is not important to be in the newspaper, because honestly, who cares? Who cares? I think we need to go away from this naming and people naming thinking.
Absolutely.
What is the legacy we leave behind, and what is really the task and the values we left? That's the really question behind, not how can I be famous and how can I be in the newspaper. That's the wrong question. It's a completely wrong angle to think about it. And yeah, so I'm actually aiming for bringing that more to the world. So to answer your question, it's not about me. It's about, I want to leave what I really want to leave behind in this world. Yep. When I'm off here, that as many people as possible have understood the right values in this world and have a better thinking of unity and connection between everything and everyone in the world, I think. And it's this more or less me and more we way of thinking. It's a collaboration way of thinking, and that we are just really can make a huge impact in this world when we really work together.
Sure. Yeah. And I think even I could reframe the question to more of something like, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind in your circle of influence? And in that way, then it would be more of like, because I totally agree. Like being remembered in a newspaper or a book, that's really, let's be honest, that's ego.
Yeah.
That's not, it's not the we mentality. It's more about the just me mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely.
And that's what I really, that's the impact I would leave here. Yeah, if I can, as much as I can. Yeah. So I want to bring people together closer. It's a kind of unity way of thinking, that we not see us in separation. We're not separated from each other. We're not separated from the earth and the animals and the plants. Again, we are so connected, and we need to work hand in hand and not against each other.
Yep. Excellent. Well, I can't wait to see what you do. And I have one more question that I want to ask you, and it kind of just wraps up everything and kind of encapsulates your worldview as much as we can. I feel like we have a lot to talk about that we could probably keep going for quite some time. But I'll I'll finish up with one question, but before I do so, I want to make sure I give a shout out to your site, and that's, am I pronouncing it right? Imagimo.me?
Imagimo.me, yeah.
Imagimo.me, and that's IMAGIMO.me. M-E. Yeah, and it's life is an art, and the art of life itself is what you'll see when you go to that. Yeah. So do you want to speak to that a little bit too, and like give the you probably already touched on a lot of points, but if you wanted to speak to your site and what it represents for people.
I just want to create a space for people to be authentic, to have an inspiration, what that actually could mean. I wanted to create a space where people can find inspiration, to discover their unique self. And the purpose of it is, to give an example of my way of thinking and how I do it and how I see the world. Actually, that's my website is a mixture of kind of offerings, what I'm working towards. So especially I'm picking the areas of creativity and the arts. You're going to find there some paintings of myself, even there's the workshop, Awake You an Artist. And I will cover the way or how I see it to find our golden path through, for example, communication and to really empower our individual self.
I love it. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I was just started scrolling through your website right now too, and it looks interesting for sure. And I think for the listeners out there, go ahead and check it out. Is there a way for them, if somebody has additional questions to ask you, it looks like you have they can email you, get on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all that. So excellent. Let's move on to the last question then. So I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine that one day you're walking through a lush green park. Let's say it's Hyde Park in London on a beautiful spring day, when suddenly a spacecraft appears and out steps an alien, and time freezes outside of you. All people around you are suddenly frozen. So you're going to have to bear with me here and suspend disbelief. But anyway, the alien that steps out says in perfect, flawless English that he is a reporter from another planet, from another galaxy far away, and he has only 5 minutes for you to tell him how you see and interpret life on this planet, what humans even mean, how we interact with one another. What does it mean? You only have 5 minutes, and you're the sole representative of planet Earth during this time.
I'd say the human race is not lost yet. The human race is not lost yet. I haven't given up on it, and we're not giving up. No, but I think the human race is on the way to understand the cosmic joke, the cosmic joke, and we're gonna figure out how beautiful and magic our life can be on this wonderful planet Earth. And I think I say that it's less than 5 minutes.
That's perfect. Hey, that works. Most definitely. It's every single question, every single answer I get when I ask that question is unique. So no, that's perfect. And it reminds me of, like, have you ever read any Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with Douglas Adams? He wrote those books. It's the English author who has passed away now. But I always think of him whenever I ask that question, because I think he would. I always think if there's a character called Ford Prefect, who maybe I should start just saying that it's Ford Prefect, because he was actually an intergalactic kind of journalist, really. So anyway,
I love it. I love the question. Cool. I love the question.
Yeah.
I think humanity will rise in consciousness, and we're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
Good. That's good. We need to be hopeful, I think, and hopefully we can get to that next stage. level of consciousness
Yeah.
to where we can eliminate a lot of the stuff that is not, because I agree, being just creating and focusing on the arts and beauty in the world, that makes for such a just better everything in society and within family structures, within our own lives. If we have that, it helps out so much, I think. So I think you are doing a good, your role is a good role in bringing that out, and I can't wait to see what you do. And please keep me abreast of what's going on there and how, you know, how it's all
Yeah,
going
thank you
for
so
you.
much. I mean, I love to stay in touch with you because I love the project you're doing, and I'm gonna be on your side and listening to more people, definitely, and checking in. And I just want to, maybe my last sentence is the last questions was very perfect, because I think to raise our imagination and really that's the key element, because really then we probably start seeing the magic in this world. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's like a childlike way of seeing sometimes things again because we forgot it. But what else? I think imagination is a key element to preserve our future.
Yeah, I like that. Wow, I'm going to quote you on that one. That's a really good one. So excellent. Yeah, I like that.
I'm glad you like it.
I love it. Cool. All right. Well, Nadine, thank you so much. And I appreciate the time. Let's definitely keep in touch and see what we can do to, fulfill, I guess, what we need to fulfill in this lifetime here on this beautiful pale blue dot of a planet.
Yes, and I think you and I we are more or less kind of, we're doing a different way, but on the same page, because I think important is that we, rather being just in pure consciousness and pure higher levels of consciousness and forget our forms on the earth, I think it's important to integrate spirit and body, and then we find this magic what we just talked about, and then we really experience the beauty of life. So let's bring it together. Bridge heaven and earth.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out this episode of In the Shoes Of. If you like or don't like the podcast, feel free to leave a review or reach out to me. My email is jnickel42@gmail.com. I can't promise you I'll get back to you right away, but I'll definitely try and get to it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking it out. Until the next time, see you later.